Good evening. I'm Pratima Tripathi from Dr. Reddy's, your host, and I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone. We are one among India's top pharmaceutical companies, and apart from ensuring the uninterrupted supply of medicine, we've been facilitating a series of web based dialogues with leaders from different arenas to draw inspiration. Dr. Reddy's Foundation for Health Education brings to you a series of Abhaya talks that touches upon the challenges of working in the face of adversity, surviving against the tide and flying against the wind. In January this year, an all-woman cockpit crew created aviation history by operating the longest non-stop commercial flight by any airline to India, covering a distance of 16,000 kilometers with a flight time of 17 hours and 25 minutes non-stop. We have with us today the very person who commanded this historical flight from San Francisco to Bengaluru, the young, courageous, and compassionate Captain Zoya Agarwal. Also the youngest woman pilot in India to fly a Boeing 777 in the year 2013. Zoya has been at the forefront of India's Vande Bharat mission, a massive evacuation operation to bring Indian nationals from different countries back to the motherland. Welcome, Captain Zoya.
Thank you so much, Pratima, for having me and for these amazing, beautiful words. I am so happy to be a part of this platform, to be able to inspire and derive inspiration from all of our amazing true heroes, our frontline warriors, our brilliant doctors, the courageous nurses, the brave hospital staff, and all the awesome healthcare professionals who did not have the luxury of sitting at home, working from home, and they've been working selflessly, tirelessly, without the thought of any fear, towards the national duty of our citizens, our world, our people. My heartfelt gratitude to each and every single one of you present today, and also to the Dr. Reddy's team to organize such an amazing, inspirational platform to be able to connect it.
So, if you're good, Captain, shall we take off?
Absolutely. We are cleared for takeoff. Let's go.
So, Zoya, you clearly went against the wind when you decided to take up this profession. How did you manage to overcome the first hurdles? Let's start from home.
So, my first hurdle was the dreams of the 8-year-old Zoya. That 8-year-old Zoya was an extremely dreamy and ambitious girl. And she was always questioned by the actual Zoya, who was a little scared of her environment around her, because that environment did not allow her to forget about walking the path of becoming an aviator. That environment did not even allow her to dream such starry dreams. All that 8-year-old Zoya wanted to do was to be able to touch those stars. And she thought, you know, if I can probably end up flying one of those beautiful jumbo jets, maybe I can go and pluck one of those stars out. So that's how my journey started. And of course, the feedback at home, being the only child growing up, you know, in the late 90s wasn't that easy, because, you know, we belonged to a world where women were expected to play a certain part. I was supposed to finish my education. And my biggest lifetime achievement should have been to find a suitable boy and get married. And thereafter, you know, look after my family of my own. Which, having said that, I think it's a very, very tough thing to do. But that 8-year-old Zoya had her own visions and she had her own dreams, and she was not the one willing to kneel down to it.
Fabulous. So thank you so much. That was a fabulous response. So Zoya, as I move forward, just to understand a little more, I learned that you completed your graduation in physics and the aviation course, two tough things at the same time. How difficult was it to juggle between them?
Pratima, you know, I always felt that if you truly want something from your heart and soul, nothing is too difficult. There isn't any mountain which is high enough to climb. because you can truly climb any single mountain of a challenge. Sometimes all of us, we just have to break it down, the big mountain into tiny hills and climb it. And sometimes we just have enough courage to climb it all together. But there is no mountain which is high enough which you cannot climb. All you have to do is have the courage and have those dreams so deep down inside of you with that fire to fuel your climb. And it is possible. So yes, for me, that was the only chance for me to convince my parents in order to give me the wings to fly away post my graduation, because my parents were not willing to let their only child become a pilot, which is like an unheard of kind of profession back in those days for a girl child, and especially the kind of background that I came from. My mom started crying when I told her the first time that I wanted to become a pilot. So those were my only formative years, those 3 years. And I had to finish my science degree as well as my aviation course. So my parents thought that in those 3 years, I'll probably give up the hopes and the dreams of becoming a pilot. I'll just probably forget about it. But well, that 8-year-old Zoya who lived inside of me had different plans. So she never, ever gave up anything. She, in fact, the moment I got into college, I enrolled into all the colleges and I got into pretty much all the colleges. So when I started with St. Stephen's College, I broke my piggy bank to be able to finance my aviation classes. And I used to travel from one end of the city to the other end of the city. My day used to start at 6 a.m. Till 3:30, 4, as most of you, if you know about St. Stephen's College, we are very particular about attendance over there. So till 3:30, 4, I would be in college. And from there till, the other side of the city, I would go for my aviation classes, come back home by 9:30 and just in time for the electricity to flicker out. And then I used to willfully resign myself to all the mosquitoes outside under the lamppost. Okay, so come bite me, because I had to finish off my daily assignments on day-to-day basis. I did not have the luxury of carrying it forward since it was pretty much like doing 2 degrees at the same time. But I'm sure all of you, the doctors, you also burn the midnight oil. So you'll probably understand the struggle, and you'll also understand that how this is so relatable to the fact that if you want to do something truly in your life, nothing is impossible.
Absolutely agree. And your energy level gives it all away. I'm sure you had the energy and the enthusiasm to see it through. So it's pretty evident. Thanks, Zoya. So, Zoya, what hardships did you face in fulfilling your dream? You just mentioned the mosquitoes. I'm sure there were many others. So, what's the one thing that kept you going against the wind?
In life, if you don't have the challenges, there is no fun in getting the results, because I feel if you are faced with challenges, you will perform not just 100%, you will give it 10,000% to that challenge. And I faced many challenges. I'm sure not only me, everybody does on a day-to-day basis. We all have our own battles to fight. There were days, when I gave up, but there were days when I broke down. There were days, I'm a human being too. I have my weak moments too. But there was this guiding light inside of me, which always used to push me, that 8-year-old Zoya, that inner voice, which always told me that pick up your pieces, get up, you can do it, rise up, work hard towards fulfilling the challenge, and you can do it. So, it's all about finding your own inner path, finding your own inner light, and that eventually will make each and every one of us fly against the wind.
Absolutely. So speaking about the 8-year-old Zoya, I think that was the time you nursed the dream of becoming a pilot. You aimed for it. You are a successful pilot now. How important do you think it is for people to dream?
The power of the dream is such, it gives us our present. It gives us the projection of our future. Because imagine what a world would be like without Walt Disney, our very own power girl, Kalpana Chawla, MS Dhoni, Oprah Winfrey, one of my favorites, Howard Schultz, because he's a Starbucks owner and I love my coffees, Starbucks CEO, sorry. And people like legends, Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani ji. Tell me what a world without these people would we have? And you know what is one thing that is in common with all of them?
What?
They're all dreamers. Every single one of them, their journey began with the dream. And they're very open about it and vociferous about it. To the extent that Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani goes with a quote that he doesn't believe in hearing. He's deaf to the word no. In life, you have to have that kind of a mentality. Because when you have dreams, every single beautiful reality always starts off with a dream. And when you want to pursue those dreams, we all have our environmental challenges. We all have our family pressures, world pressures, the very pressures from situations, for example, COVID-19 pandemic. There's so many things that we face on a day-to-day basis. And it is so easy for us to put our hands up in the air and resign. But no, that's where you come into place. That's where the power of dream is so important, because you have to wear your blinkers like how those horses wear, and you have to go towards your dreams without thinking anything else, but just working hard and fulfilling them eventually. And nothing can stop you.
Thank you, Zoya. And speaking of Walt Disney, you reminded me of a famous quote from Walt Disney where he said, "All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them." So, absolutely agree.
We can't
Zoya,
even
as
imagine a world without Walt Disney's Disney World, can we? Life would be so much lesser colorful today.
Absolutely. Being the youngest woman pilot to fly a Boeing 777 and the first woman commander of Air India to fly over the North Pole, how does it make you feel? What inspired you to take up such a challenge, Zoya?
So I have replaced the terminology top of the world by top of the North Pole now.
Okay.
And so that is the first change. And, you know, this North Pole flight was very close to my heart for a very long time. In fact, last Women's Day in March of 2020, I was slated with my women team, all women team, to operate this flight. However, this flight also has a lot of other parameters which have to be fulfilled prior to the beginning of the flight. So we could not make that happen at that point in time. But now that when it actually did happen, I was always kind of very passionate about the fact that, you know, it had such amazing pluses to it. For example, it saves over an hour of flying time in just one sector. Can you imagine saving 1 hour worth of time on a routine basis? Imagine what all we can do with that extra time. We can spend time with our families. We can increase our productivity level. There's so much you can do with time. And then it shaves off 10,000 kilograms of fuel in just one flight. So imagine that into 365 days a year. And sometimes, if you're lucky, one more extra day, right, for the leap year. So, you know, imagine the amount of fuel saving. And that translates into reduction of carbon footprints, greener planet. I am all for leaving a better future for our future generations of tomorrow, because that is what our lives is all about. We all have to contribute in our little ways, you know. Nothing is too small, nothing is too big. We all have to start somewhere. And that start, when you make that one start, it kind of gets together and builds a whole ocean. And I was very passionate about it, this particular flight. But when it eventually happened, you know, I was very, very excited about the fact that most of our world's population, imagine 7.67 billion that we're sitting on, have not even seen the North Pole on a map. And here we are, 4 girls were flying overhead the North Pole, connecting the 2 antipodes from San Francisco, the 2 Silicon Valleys, you know, in the world. So that was the very, you know, definition of women empowerment. And as I have come to know over so many months, I have been flooded with messages on Instagram and on my phone. I have no idea where people get my number from, but I get flooded with these messages, and how if someone like me can do it, so can they. And life, Pratima, is all about changing people's lives in a positive manner. It's about creating an impact. It's about leaving your footprint long after you're gone. Because if you can impact and change one life at a time, we all have done our bit on this beautiful Mother Earth, I feel. So this flight has been an impact, I think, on the youth, on our girls, on any people, who doubt themselves, because if she or someone like her can do it, so can I. So that is truly heart-wrenching to me.
Beautiful words, Zoya. Thank you so much. I think this inspires so many of us who are watching you currently, and people who will watch you in the future. So thanks so much. Absolutely inspirational. As I move forward, I'd also like to ask you, Zoya, what challenges did you face during this non-stop flight? I mean, 17 hours and 25 minutes, the very imagination is quite exhausting. So when you flew from San Francisco to Bengaluru, how did you overcome these challenges?
Life is a little unfulfilling if you don't overcome challenges, right? You have to overcome your challenges, because you're so much more satisfied as a professional, when you work hard and you get there, rather than just getting it easy on a platter. I'm sure all of you from medical fields would agree with me. When you do get a successful result at the end of a very tiresome and a very long, arduous kind of a medical procedure, and you discover something, or you're actually contributing something big, the kind of satisfaction that you get is at another level. And when you have that kind of a satisfaction, you're moving towards a better mindset, a more positive you, which will make it even better the next time. So I think there were a lot of checking the boxes for this particular flight. And yes, it was challenging. So we had to make sure that we were taking care of all the checking the boxes. But there was training, there was preparation, there was teamwork. I cannot stress more on teamwork. We do not do anything on our own. We all have our amazing team backing us. We are just probably, sometimes it just so happens that I'm talking to a Pratima, you're talking to a Zoya, but we have not done anything. We are just a tiny drop in the ocean. There are so many people who are backing us, who make sure that we all do it together. So I cannot stress the importance of teamwork even more, because if you have these three strong pillars, the training, the preparation, and the teamwork, these are your strongest weapons in your arsenal. And once you're equipped with that, there is nothing that you cannot face, whether it's a more than a 17-hour flight, or world's one of the longest flights, or anything, or any medical procedure, or any surgery which you guys are going to do, or any of these challenging work days. It's all about having your weapons.
So Zoya, I get a feeling that you are preempting my questions. Next question is absolutely, and now I'm going to go back and check. So my next question is absolutely around teamwork. You had a team of women captains with varying experiences for this non-stop flight. Must have been quite an experience. So many women in one flight, completely responsible for this flight. What was the most memorable part of this flight? And you may like to add the challenges as well.
Pratima, I think, I guess looks like I'm probably reading your mind. And well, I'm so proud of my girls. I mean, I call them so proudly my polar girls. And we all wouldn't be sitting here today talking about this, because I think when all of us operated this historic flight, where we turned a whole new leaf in the world aviation history, I think this year kind of started off on a very positive note, very It's like a sort of a silver lining to the dark cloud, which 2020 brought us. And then came the vaccinations and so on and so forth. So I think this was the start of the year done right. I'm extremely proud of my team. I wouldn't be here. We would not be able to complete our flight without them. And there were a lot of challenges, and all of us were, doing our roles. We all had to come up together as a team, making sure every single thing was taken care of, like from the crew training to the airplane technical preparation, because this flight is very unlike a normal flight. It's there are a lot of more check in the boxes which are required technically, and also equipment wise, which are not required for your normal flight, so to say. Like, for example, you'd require something known as polar suit for this flight, because the kind of places that you fly overhead over the North Pole, the very average temperatures, even in summer months, are going to be -30 to minus 50. They're the normal temperatures. So you obviously cannot just step outside the airplane in case of a diversion. So you need to have those polar suits with you. And there's a lot of other training elements also, which have to be made sure, which are met. You are exposed to solar radiation. The space numbers have to be stellar. The Indradev has to be absolutely on your side, for this particular flight to go well. So we did it all together as teamwork, and it was so much fun and so much of excitement. When we started walking towards the airplane, I think everybody knew that this was going to be a polar flight, and all the passengers were super charged up. The entire atmosphere, I think, was extremely electrifying throughout the airplane, the ground staff, the passengers. And I made 7 announcements through the course of this flight, because every passenger, I wanted to know that they were being a part of the world history. And I want them to see the entire flight as I was seeing it from the flight deck, whether when we, entered the polar area, or whether, when we flew almost over the North Pole with the beautiful black, almost dark skies with such amazingly lit up stars and the aurora borealis, northern lights. I wanted them to be a part of it as if they were seeing it through my eyes. So I think it was a great flight. Yes, filled with challenges, but good challenges, and it's always good to kind of come up to those challenges.
Thanks, Zoya. Your description sounded almost like a Disney flight, So I know you're quite inspired by Disney now. So I think as you were speaking about, how each team member put in their best, it reminded me of another quote which I very strongly believe in: that individual commitment to a group effort. That's what makes a team work.
Absolutely.
Moving forward, Zoya, I think you'd seem to have made some real epic flights in your life. I go back to ask you about a 2015 flight to New York, another memorable one where you went beyond the call of duty to save a passenger's life. And yes, I did read up about it. You were already midway through when you decided to come back to Delhi, had to negotiate with Pakistani air control to jettison fuel over Pakistan, which was quite a thing in itself. You made so many critical decisions in just a matter of few minutes. What was on your mind, and how do you feel in retrospect about going against the wind?
Pratima, whenever I am faced with a challenge which surrounds a passenger, I have never ever seen a person as a passenger, because I think being an Indian, it's our Indian culture, and being in my company, we have always been ingrained to treat the value of a human life as topmost. So, and I'm extremely, extremely proud of that. So for me, I always see the passenger as a human being. And that to me is everything. And that impacts every single decision that I make. Because whenever I take a decision, for me, the topmost is going to be able to save the life. And not always, we can have a successful ending. But this was one of those flights, which I'm extremely glad did have one of those successful endings, God's grace. I think gratitude to the Almighty, I'm so happy about the fact that we could manage to save a life. We did all that I could have diverted to Pakistan. That decision was in our hands. But whether the geopolitical tensions between India and Pakistan would have enabled us to get the medical intervention that passenger needed at the right time. And also, I'm very thankful to the doctors who fly with us always, because at the start of my flight to my crew, I always brief them, please identify a few doctors on the flight who can get us timely attention just in case that these kind of scenarios were to arise. So my heartfelt gratitude to all you amazing doctors who are always there on our flights and willing to help out in case of any medical issue. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. So that was a day when I did take a tough call to return to Delhi. The weather was not conducive in Delhi. However, I think, where there's a will, there's a way. So we landed eventually into Delhi after negotiating bad weather and so many other things. And after that, we could get the passenger the medical attention that she needed. And we again took off for New York, later on. And the whole flight was amazing, because not only did we get our passengers to New York and saved our organization money, we also managed to save a life. So that was a special day.
Absolutely beautiful. And that day, it was your compassion that helped save the passenger's life. I think you made a very powerful statement that it's not a passenger, it's yet another human life, and what's the best that we can do about it. So when I go back to that day, it was essentially your compassion that helped save the passenger's life. You took a lot of measures to make sure things fell in place. Again, when we look at the pandemic in the midst of one, when each one of us is at risk, how do you think we can bring compassion to the workplace?
I think compassion is all that we have. Like, for example, this particular flight that we were talking about, this lady passenger who got unwell, I was told by the doctors she would not survive more than 2 hours. Now, she's someone's mother. She is someone's child. She is someone's sister. Any person you see walking on the road, even when you all when we all come to you guys as patients, I'm sure we all have that compassion switch in us, but sometimes we just have to switch it off temporarily to be able to do our job precisely well. And I think most of the professionals, we are trained to do it, but we always have those compassion running behind us. It doesn't go away. It's always there. It's a part of us. And the very fact that when all of us are the frontline workers, when we kind of sign up for a jobs like we do, there are no hours attached to it. We don't have Diwali. We do not have New Year's. We do not have 3 a.m. or we do not have, do not call me at 11 p.m. calls. We have no timings, because we are here to serve our country, our nation, our people, our world, because this is what we sign up for. But to be able to do this from our heart and soul requires compassion. And I'm sure during the COVID-19 pandemic, compassion is something that we have truly lived by, because we have all shown up for our work, being at the front line, the amazing doctors, all you nurses, the medical staff at the hospitals, the people who work behind the scenes, and anyone and everyone who does not have the luxury to sit at home and work from home. We all have displayed compassion at another level, because we have serviced our country, our citizens, knowing fully well that going out may risk us. Forget about us. Most of us are not really worried about us. It's also our family, which we are primarily concerned of. We could have old parents and, family members who are more prone to the COVID-19 pandemic. But yet, knowing those risks fully well, we have gone out and we have done it. That is serving with compassion. There is no bigger definition of compassion than that, honestly, Pratima, for me. And to be able to do that requires a lot of courage. So my hats to all of you. My heads are bowed to every one of you medical professionals.
So, yeah. Indeed, as you rightly said, this pandemic has reminded us that compassion is to look beyond your pain and to see the pain of others.
Absolutely.
So during the pandemic, you've been a part of the Vande Bharat mission to evacuate Indians from several countries on hundreds of Air India flights, putting yourself at risk. What fear did you have while managing these evacuations during COVID? What is it that motivated you and kept you going? And eventually, what's your message to the healthcare workers who put themselves at risk again to help others?
So I think, like how I was mentioning about the fact to when we kind of sign up for these kind of the jobs that we are in, we are already we know fully well that these are the risks that are going to come. But to be able to make that decision to go out to your job and do justice to it, that requires a next level of courage. So I think most of the professionals who displayed that, my hats off to you, because I feel that a lot of us as pilots also, we are not really worried about ourselves. We are more worried about our families. And rightfully so, when this pandemic did start off, a lot of pilots did not want to fly. So some of us had volunteered, and I operated San Francisco to Mumbai. So that was the first flight to Mumbai at that point in time. And I remember that was slated for Mother's Day. So for me, it was particularly hard to be away from my family, my mom on Mother's Day. But I drew a lot of satisfaction in looking at the bigger picture, because I think if I could have reunited those 300 odd mothers with their children, that is far bigger than being able to celebrate just one day with my mom. I think any day could be a Mother's Day, so you can celebrate it 365 days round the clock. But to be able to give the gift to so many mothers all together, that was truly something else. So I think when we did land into Mumbai, I could hear the applause into the flight deck. All the passengers clapping because they were so happy being back home. Our citizens who were stuck in the US, especially at that time, the pandemic was at its peak, and they got back home. And at that time, the COVID-19, I remember the protocol was such that they had to queue up outside, with their shields and everything. And when me and my team were walking together outside, just next to the passengers, people were applauding us and they were in tears. And that is one visual, Pratima, I don't think I can ever forget. I'll take it to my grave. So these are the things, which I think probably melt your heart truly and leave a profound impact on you. And I think you all see these kind of scenarios so much more than what we do. So literally, hats off to you, all of you. We are really, really grateful to you. I don't think we can thank our medical care professionals, all of them, enough to serve the nation. They have done to rise up to the occasion of serving the country the way they have done in the COVID-19 pandemic.
That was overwhelming, to say the least, Zoya. So, a lot of your life experiences you have shared add up to tell us about your resilience. Every single piece that you narrated and that I have read about speaks and resonates resilience. Any tips on resilience for healthcare workers, especially during a pandemic?
Resilience. I think COVID-19 has taught us a whole new definition of resilience, hasn't it? This has touched all of us in such close corners in one way or the other, that we literally have had to form a little bubble around us, because otherwise it was so close to us that it would have affected our ability to function as professionals, as human beings. This has taught us resilience to be able to look beyond the grief and sorrow, what is happening now, but to be able to cater and rise up and save whatever we can salvage ahead. So that resilience is something else. It's probably not even textbook. I think they should name another word for COVID-19 resilience in the Oxford Dictionary now, because this has been at another level. And I think all of our professionals, healthcare professionals, doctors, and I have lost so many of my colleagues, so the kind of losses that all of us have seen is at another level. And it has definitely made us more resilient, but more responsible towards our society. And this kind of resilience has actually had a positive impact for our performance in saving lives furthermore. So I think this resilience is good, but I hope we never get to see another pandemic in our lifetime again to go through something like this. It's been too overwhelming, Pratima, and I hope we can come out, and we will come out stronger out of this pandemic, and definitely more responsible and aware of this beautiful life that we have been given by the Almighty, and to value it each second that we live through.
Absolutely, completely. So, Zoya, COVID, and you spoke about it at length, how it's changed lives all around us, how it's changed our lives and impacted our lives, in some cases also our loved ones. It's changed not just the healthcare setting, but also the aviation industry.
Yes.
There was a time when we used to see, masks only on healthcare professionals. That's now history, right? We see the pilots, the crew in PPE suits, just like we do see the healthcare professionals inside the hospital. How did the staff react and adapt to this change? Because being able to move in something so overwhelming and something one is not used to it is quite a bit of a change, right? So how did they react and adapt to this change? Was it difficult to manage, given that they have to be on the move continuously?
Changes are always difficult to adapt to initially, right? Especially when I think this COVID-19 pandemic did hit. I think we did not realize what was really coming our way. None of us did, because this pandemic has taught us the very value of breathing freely. Today, I have a newfound respect of being able to talk to you from the safety of my home, or when I'm fully vaccinated. So when I go to the US for my flights, I have a whole newfound respect to be able to breathe without a mask, and to be able to see other people without a mask. You have no idea. I think we all have undergone this transformation of gratitude in so many ways. This pandemic has taught us the value of freedom, the value of not taking anything for granted, at a multi-dimensional levels, to a certain degree, that I think even if, there were so many of us who want to do something in our lives, which we could postpone till tomorrow, but seeing the loss, seeing everything around us, you don't really know how many moments do you have remaining. So it's whatever you're going to do till tomorrow or day after or after 1 week, do it now. Because life is about living every single moment now. And your now starts absolutely right now. So go out there, fulfill your dreams, whatever you want to do, and do not limit yourself, because the only limit that you will have on yourself is you. So don't limit yourself, because life is too short and extremely precious.
So you reminded me of a statement: change begins at the end of your comfort zone. And that's exactly what you resonated when you spoke about adapting or reacting to the change. Again, Zoya, it surprises me that you preempted my next question as well. How has COVID affected your time with family? What advice would you like to give to your fellow frontline warriors within the healthcare setting, who are again away from home for long periods of time, also away from their families, and then carry the risk for themselves and their families? So,
I think what has happened with all of us is we have become more responsible towards spending our time with our families. Of course, life has taken a turn when we have to be more careful. We have old parents with comorbidities. Like for me personally, whenever I come back from a flight, I make sure I get myself COVID tested, and I do isolate myself for 24 hours till the time I get my results before I go and meet my family. So we have had lesser times. I'm talking about the frontline workers at home, I feel, because you have to be more careful about the immediate contact between your family and yourself. But that has also made us more responsible, because that is the way forward till the time we are absolutely sure that we are not able to jeopardize anybody else around us. We have to carry out our responsibility, wear masks, do whatever we can to support our families in this time of crisis. And also, people who are working from home, I think life hasn't been the same for them also. There is no distinction between the home time to the work time. I think all of us have, kind of uh, newfound role to play with our families, because here we are that we like physically cannot go and spend time being the frontline workers. And then there are people who work from home, who are home all the time. But when you have too much of something, you can't really, fully be fully give justice to it. So I think, I just hope we tide over this soon, and I'm sure we'll be more resilient, we'll be stronger, and we will all do it together, and we will rise together as a world again soon, happier and stronger.
Absolutely. So working during the COVID-19 pandemic has placed frontline workers under immense and unprecedented pressure, Zoya, putting their physical, mental, and social well-being at risk. In your profession, you cannot carry stress inside the cockpit. From your experience, what actions can frontline workers take up to cope with stress?
I think when I wear my uniform, I leave behind the stresses, and then it's Captain Zoya, and that's it. So, which I am very, very sure all our healthcare professionals, who also have various human lives in their hands. Because I was talking to you about it earlier. When we go for work, we are responsible for lives. We are trained our entire career to do justice to that, to come up to that responsibility. So, for example, the kind of airplane I fly, it almost fits 350 passengers, but it's always, I feel, the responsibility of 3,500 lives, 3,500 lives, because every single passenger has 10 lives, which are associated to that particular person. And when you're responsible for them, you're also responsible for their family members in one way or the other. Similarly, for the amazing doctors who are watching, the nurses, they all are responsible of lives, and they are also responsible, similar to us, associated lives. So I think when we go out and when we kind of play our parts in our jobs, I think we have to kind of completely leave behind our personal stresses and be true to our jobs, because these are not just passengers or patients. These are actual human beings. They are someone's mom, dad, children, so sisters, brothers. So we have to be true to our roles, our professional roles as well. And I think all of us, all of the doctors, everybody comes up to that. Just like I think when we wear our uniform, I'm sure you all also, the moment you don your doctor's outfit, so you guys are also ready to go towards your professional goals and meet them.
So, Zoya, you remind me of the famous proclamation, and I read about it some time back. Women hold up half the sky, and I think this fits you the best. When we speak about women holding up half the sky, it's a powerful statement that affirms that women can do just as much as men can. Let me know, Zoya, what you think about this. Women achievers like you have broken the glass ceiling more often than once, fighting this battle at home as much as at the workplace. What is your message to those little girls who would want to become pilots or successful professionals?
I've always felt that I have been very, very blessed in getting support from, even though if I've had to fight for it, it's okay. It's okay to fight for something. You believe in something, go out there and fight for it. But so long as you get it, I am truly grateful to the Almighty to have, accomplished whatever I have accomplished. And more than that, I feel that I am put on this path for a reason. Like I was telling you earlier also, this flight came to me as a surprise. I thought this was probably just gonna, leave behind a greener planet and a greater future, but I did not realize the greater future may also meant the better future, for the betterment of tomorrow, for women empowerment, for people who face doubts. When they see that a woman can come from where I came from and she can be here, they can do whatever they want. I am just a tiny drop in the ocean. I'm just a Zoya who had dreams, who still has dreams. That 8-year-old Zoya still lives inside of me, and she pushes me every single day to climb higher, highest mountains, But it's about fulfilling your dreams in this life, because it is so easy to give up when your environment is not with you. So my message to all my future dreamers, as I love to call them, is that please dream, because the kind of messages that I get on Instagram is seeing your story. We had given up on our lives, and we want to pick up our pieces of our lives all over again, and we want to start afresh. We want to do something with our lives. So please dream, because always remember, every single beautiful reality of today, tomorrow, starts with a beautiful dream. And every single beautiful dream begins with a beautiful dreamer, just like you. So please dream, work towards it, give it all you've got from your heart and your soul. Wear those blinkers and just go for it. World's your oyster. You will achieve it.
Super energizing speaking to you, Zoya. So, what's next for you? What are the next set of against the wind milestones for you? I'm sure you set up quite a bit of them already in your mind.
I'm walking the path which the Almighty has created for me. Pratima, I honestly did not know that this flight would have created so much of a positive space and a change of all sorts in the attitude of so many youths. And if I'm able to make that one change in one life at a time, I think my time on this beautiful Mother Earth is going to be successful, because I want to be able to create change in people's lives in a positive manner, and to be able to inspire them and empower them, and also get inspired by all of them.
Thanks, Zoya. William Henley wrote, I'm the master of my fate, I'm the captain of my soul, and I cannot help but draw a parallel to Captain Zoya. Captain Zoya has set an example of flying against the wind, overcoming all the hurdles that came in the way of her fulfilling her dream. Her story is an inspiration to young people who are battling the odds. Thank you, Zoya, for sharing your inspiring story with us.
Thank you so much, Pratima, for having me here. Once again, my heartfelt gratitude to all our healthcare professionals, our frontline warriors. You all are the true heroes of our nation. Thank you for standing by us. Thank you for standing by our citizens, our world, and making our world, our beautiful Mother Earth, a better place. Thank you. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thanks, Zoya. Thank you for sharing your inspiring story with us. We hope to see many more Zoyas in the future. All the best for your future endeavors, Zoya. With this, I'm signing off for the day. Thank you all for taking the time out and being a part of this program. All the best, stay healthy and stay safe, because good health can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you to many more Zoyas. Thank you so much, Pratima.
Thank you.
Thank you.